Life is hard, and I didn't always make the right choices. I didn't understand the world around me, and it wasn't until I was in my mid 30s that I realized what Bill and Joy Vogel and James Daney and what they were doing to me. I didn't know. And then when I found out, they had used my mistakes and my reactions as reason to continue the abuse, and they had the whole family join in. They left me completely isolated, separated me from my child. They put me through hell. You can watch my videos. I've talked about some of the things that have happened to me that are disgusting, and I can't find any help from police officers. I've got a couple lawyers on layaway, but the kind of lawyers I'm after, I've been paying layaway for about 2 years now. All these bitches are going on vacation, enjoying their money and their family, and paying mortgages. I've been paying lawyers on layaway. But, today is one of those days where I miss my child. Like, I miss my child so much that, like, on a daily basis, I have to remind myself that I cannot burn down the Vogel's houses, and I cannot cut off their heads and walk down the interstate until I get to Vernon County Police to explain to them how I got from there to here. I told the police officers I would not do that. I told them that if I was going to, I would contact them first. And for a long time, I thought that this story was going to be an episode of Snapped. But I'm trying really hard to make sure it's just an episode of American Greed. But anyway, all that aside, one thing, today was one of those days. Excuse me. Today was one of those days where nobody inappropriately groped my body. Like, nobody did anything sexually inappropriate to my body against my acceptance or conversation. Like, that's always a nice day. And nobody came out of the woodwork or from the sidelines to jump in front of me and just make my life hard for no reason that I can understand. Like, none of that happened today. But in fact, some things happened today that reminded me why I'm doing this. Not that I need a reminder, because I made a promise to Daryl. I don't want to get into this right now. He told me that family will watch me die before they would tell the truth. And back then, this is a long time ago, this is over 10 years ago, I sat there with him and I was like, no, I did not do this, but I would have. I would have bet my child's life on the Vogels telling the truth. I would have. Thank fucking God I didn't. I don't ever do that. That's not something I do. But when Daryl and I were having that conversation, I was like, no. They taught us how to be human beings. They're not going to they're not going to watch me die. They're not going to sit there and wait for me to go away. I was like, they're going to see the changes I made. They're going to see. And then I realized they weren't waiting for me to change. They were waiting for me to die. Because the better I got, the worse they treated me. And then they used my reaction as a reason to continue what they were doing. Their narrative is bogus as fuck. I'm sorry. Try not to swear. This is kind of a sweary message. I had a margarita. And I'm not going to lie, I put a little airplane bottle shot of pink vodka in there too. But today was one of those days where, like I said, nobody tried to cop a feel on my body. Nobody inappropriately groped me against my will. Nobody came out of the left field to interact in my world in a negative fashion. Everybody was super polite. And I got to witness a couple things today that just made me have hope for the human race. People struggle. We all have fears. See, you got to understand that no matter how angry you are, no matter how justified you may be, the root of everything that we do is fear. The abundance of it or the lack of it. And that's where everything stems from, is our fear. And so to see people take that chance to be kind and just willing to be like, you know what, you're a human being. I'm a human being. We don't need to battle, because sometimes some people get in this phase where their ego becomes drunk and they just see red. And I have a solution for it. I have solutions for it. It's not a death sentence. It's not. But nobody wants to acknowledge it. And then you see the broken, who are the reciprocals of that red, and they don't act right. But because they're not as aggressive, they get pinned as mentally ill, unstable, bipolar, schizophrenic. But I have a solution. We don't have to see red. It's just a misguidance. People are getting drunk on their ego, and they can't see anything else because they're scared. They're scared of shame, because shame has become weaponized, and we know I fucking hate that. I hate that shame is weaponized. Oh, I mean, I just want to hold people. I just want to hug them and hold them. Be like, it doesn't have to be like this. Because we should be able to acknowledge our mistakes. Because once we get to the point where we find out what went wrong, then the fun begins. Then we can figure out how to make things better. We don't always have to go back to what it was. We don't always have to be together. We don't have to work together. But we can coexist together. We can soften that drunken ego. We can grab a hold of our fear and realize we don't have to hurt each other to get ahead. We don't have to hurt each other to avoid shame. We don't have to weaponize shame. We can forgive and forget and move forward and be better than we were. That's the key. It's internally. We got to stop trying to make other people better and start making ourselves better. Everybody who is trying to be a better person, who is getting up every day and saying, you know what, today I heard something that made me think maybe I could be a better person. We don't have to hurt people to get ahead. And we don't have to hurt people. Couples can separate. It happens. But we don't have to hurt each other and play that fault line spin in order to avoid shame and loss. We don't have to do that. We can all just take a deep breath and realize the ladder doesn't have to go vertical. That ladder can go horizontal, which means there's enough room for everybody at the top. Thank you guys so much for being live. And I want to thank the community of Viroqua, Wisconsin today for today. I needed a day like this. Thank you.